with Coach Marcus Freeman and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish hitting the road to Atlanta to face off with the rambling wreck of Georgia Tech, Coach Freeman and Riley Leonard looked to improve on its passing game that saw some major steps taken in the previous contest. But with Georgia Tech missing a major piece of its offense, they look to make a statement in the college football world as well. Want to find out how this one turned out? Stay tuned to Talk Like a Champion. Welcome back, Irish Nation. Thank you all for being with us. You are joined by, of course, me, Mr. CeeLo. And I must say that it's been quiet on the front. Maybe that's my fault, you guys. Maybe I need to get you guys involved in some polls, or maybe I've just been plumb lazy and have not put the links out there enough. But the good news is that we are coming to you today with no type of housekeeping, except make sure if you subscribe, you make sure you put your name down in the link, you guys. I need to know who you are. But as we get started, how are y'all doing? I hope you guys are great. Some of the individuals from North Carolina, South Carolina, and Florida are doing much better now. There are still some people struggling from the hurricane cleanup, as well as in Georgia. But we hope that everything soon gets back to where it needs to be, or some type of normalcy. But again, with a lot of misinformation out there are lots of people out there really doing a fabulous job and really working hard. Again, I will give a huge Irish Nation shout out to my buddies Jay, Scott, and Church of Cedar Grove, because they are helping and they're giving out supplies. Now, as I said, if you know anyone that is giving out supplies or giving a helping hand during this real hard time for a lot of people some have lost everything, and some were fortunate, like myself, to be spared of any type of damage. But lend a helping hand, you guys. Now, let us look at Notre Dame's 31-13 victory, even though we all know it was 31-7. Georgia Tech managed to throw up a junk touchdown right there at the end. And honestly, I was so impressed with the way the Notre Dame defense really settled in this football game, because it did look like a couple of times that Georgia Tech was going to make some serious strides in this football game and really put Notre Dame on its heels. But before that happened, there were a couple of plays that they made that were just absolutely huge. But as always, I like to look at my statistics. Now, first thing I want to say, this was a 14-7 game at the half. I watched this game. I was entertained, but then again, I was waiting for Riley Leonard to hit that switch. I mean, the interception he threw to Bo Collins I was kind of sitting there wondering, what is this? And the reason why I was like, what is this, is because I could not believe he overthrew him that bad. And then it was in double coverage. Now, listen, I always want Leonard to take his shots. But the problem I have is when you look at the play and it's like, what is he looking at?
Bruh.
That's not a good decision. You always want him to make good decisions when it comes to taking those shots. Now, overall, he was 20 of 29, 203 yards with that interception of that overthrow. But the real improvement that I saw in this game is that his timing. He's starting to hit guys coming out of breaks. And I was really thoroughly impressed with the way he was able to go with the play. Now, this is the one area that he has to improve on. When he's scrambling up the field, he's always looking to run. And if I recall, it was a 4th down play. He tried to tuck and run. Look, Riley, keep your head up the field. If you keep your head up the field, and if you just fling one, eventually fling one, what's going to happen? These defenses are going to say, oh, snap, we can't just bite on him. We got to pause. You can buy yourself an extra 3 to 4 yards if you can get a defender to buy into the fact that you might actually throw it. You have to learn that the big plays are not in your legs. They're in your arm. This is why guys like Patrick Mahomes, Cam Ward, and Caleb Williams were coveted coming out of college. Because they kept their heads up and they were looking down the field to get their playmakers the ball. And guess what? When you got guys like that, this is why when Lamar Jackson gets on the perimeter, Zay Flowers does one thing. He goes down the field and gets himself open. You want to be the best friend of a wide receiver? Keep looking down the field when you're scrambling instead of just taking it. As I said, we want to look at the numbers. Notre Dame, 388 total yards. Georgia Tech, 333. Notre Dame, 217 yards in the air. 269 for Georgia Tech. 168 on the ground for Notre Dame. 69 for Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech did not have a bad game when you look at it. And for all intents and purposes, when you look at what Georgia Tech did efficiently, a lot of it was they were able to get us off the field. And they were able to me, they withstood our running game a lot more efficiently than I expected them to. We had 168 yards on the ground, but, for the most part, those yards were widely dispersed. If we look here, you've got Jadarian Price, 8 carries, 69 yards. Jeremiah Love had 14 for 36. And he also had 3 catches for 57 yards. If we look here, you've got Leonard becomes the 3rd quarterback in Notre Dame history to rush for 10 touchdowns. Now, meanwhile, that is an impressive feat, but at the same time, the truth of the matter is we need his arm to be what's going to get us over the top. Because as we saw last night in the Georgia-Texas game, we need a quarterback that's going to be able to throw it down the field and have no fear of throwing it down the field. The issue that we have with Riley Leonard is not only is Riley Leonard's accuracy called into question, but his ability to know when to take those shots. This is something that is not necessarily learned, but it's also a combination of you either have it or you don't. And Riley Leonard is not showing that he's got that ability. He's not showing that he has that special ability to know when to take the shots and when to let it go. Whereas you got guys like Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward that understand when and where to take these shots. That's the most important thing you can have as a quarterback that understands situations. And at this junction, he doesn't get it. And it's scary considering a guy that has been playing college football this long. And most Notre Dame fans are going to say I'm being rather hard on him. I have to be. Because the reality of it is we can't afford to get into this thing and just get embarrassed the first game. Look, Riley Leonard's gifts, yes, are very different than most quarterbacks in college football. But if he works hard every single week to get the accuracy part of it or to use that athletic ability to extend plays, could you imagine how much more effective our offense could be and how much more unstoppable it could be? See, defenses are going to crash down now more than ever because they realize, okay, he's just going to take off with it. He's not going to throw it. You have to make yourself a dual threat. You have to make yourself a dual threat QB, not just this guy that can only throw from the pocket. And when he gets on the perimeter, you already know what the deal is. When you get the Alabamas and the Georgias and the Texas defenses and you confuse them When you put them in a position where they're on their heels, guess what? You're really playing offense now. You can make so many different things happen. And it seemed like yesterday, when he was on the move, is when we were at our best, or when we were getting rid of the ball quick. Now, we can't do that every play because they're going to be teams that like to get up on our receivers. This is where Denbroke's going to have to get more creative with his play calling. And I've always said, you cannot walk out there with just a plain old can. You're going to have to dress that thing up a little bit. You got to put some colors on that. Make this defense have to look around. I noticed that with Georgia and Texas last night. Georgia used their offense. They dressed up their offense a little bit. Then Texas came with a little bit of trickery. But you don't necessarily have to go with trickery. Just dress it up a little differently. And it was great to see Mitchell Evans get back in the yak again and get some grabs. Also seeing Jaden Thomas yet again. Jaden Greathouse making some grabs over the middle. And then Broke and company understanding this is a game breaker right here. Getting Greathouse a lot of touches is a big deal. So with Bo Collins. This is going to have to be coming up where we really have to settle in and start making some huge decisions on how we are going to attack the upcoming schedule. And see, it gets real for Notre Dame after this week. Now, we do get a week off after the upcoming week, but we've got things to talk about. Because next week it gets real. Riley Mills has really been pouring it on lately. He has looked exceptionally good. I am very happy with what I've been seeing. And Xavier Watson-Schuler picked up an interception. Schuler had obviously the pick six, which was beautiful. That's going to be huge against Navy. We're going to have all of these guys on board. And I'm going to be honest with you. What I really liked about what Notre Dame did is they did a lot of different things, like the fourth down conversions and the fakes. You definitely needed to work on that this week, and I was happy when they did it because if you get in a situation with Navy, you already know what Navy is going to do. Navy is going to want to do what they do. Fourth down, they going for it. But the way this game looked with Georgia Tech, I was actually so impressed with the way, Drake Bowen, who's been tearing it up with 5 tackles. There was a bunch of guys down the list that played exceptionally well on defense in the absence of guys like Benjamin Morrison. And we just got to keep playing up to that level. We're getting so many guys in and out of the rotation. It's just been a lot of fun to watch a lot of these young kids come in and just do their thing. I cannot wait until Kennedy Urlacher is a full-time starter. This kid is going to be absolutely all-American material. And, until we really start playing, the Navy game is going to be huge. It would not shock me if we saw Al Golden use Kennedy Urlacher with his hitting ability. This kid is a tackling machine. He knows what he is doing out there. It's just to watch him in action and playing with these other guys is just going to be nothing short of just absolutely fun. But as I said, the running game was dispersed. As I already said about Price and Love, the time of possession, Notre Dame won that by 11 minutes, which was not surprising, given the fact that Notre Dame really put the clamps on in the second half and really just basically shut down Georgia Tech. And the touchdown they got in the late fourth quarter was really a junk pile. It counts, but, in our eyes, it was after hours, if you will, after we'd already, chunked it in. But in all fairness to, Georgia Tech, Zach Pyron played a pretty good game in the absence of Hayden King. I do think this would have been a much different football game had King played. And as I told you many a times, you guys, it would never have surprised me had King played in this game and he threw for 300 yards. Not that he has the ability or doesn't have the ability. He just hasn't shown a consistent, accurate. He hasn't shown a consistency to spin it. And that's just basically what I've evaluated. He would be probably one of the top quarterbacks if he could accurately spin it and anticipate better. But unfortunately, it's just like with Riley. Riley's slowly learning how to hit those quick slants and those comeback routes and those curls. He's finally learning the anticipatory part of being a passer. And if he can master that, that's a okay part of the game. But ultimately, what we need is we are a great running game when we can get the field spread out, and that is our best. That is our best weapon against people that want to put 7 and 8 in the box. And I would really like to see us take more shots. The real schedule is going to begin. I mean, we didn't look ahead, and that was great to see. It looked like we were going to do that early on when we had those issues. But the truth of the matter is, Riley shook it off. He was able to run it in and get some really good throws to some guys out there. We saw Eli Reardon again, as I said, and of course Mitchell Evans, which I was glad to see yet again. And so many players are getting to be seen, but you can't speak enough of this defense. The defense is just playing lights out. Tackles were spread out all over the place. As I said, we talk about Mills, we talk about Young, and all of these other guys that are just coming out there and just throwing their thing down. Tui Halamaka and Howard Cross, all of these guys are just playing lights out. And you can't be any more proud of them. Just enjoying watching these guys, Jalen Sneed, along with the captain, Jack Kaiser. You just can't speak enough. And RJ Oben, these guys are just all out there just straight balling. But guys, hit me up in the comments and let me know what you think about Notre Dame's 31-13 victory over the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Tell me the things that you liked about it, the things that you didn't like about it. Tell me what you like about the show and what you don't like about the show. Make sure you leave your comments down there below now. And if you subscribe, make sure you leave your name down there so I can keep up with you guys. Also, go to the Facebook page at Talk Like a Champion. Find out the polls. Let me know what you think about Navy. Join the group, of course. And then go to Mr. CeeLo on Instagram and find out what other things I'm involved in. But until we meet again, may the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun rise warm upon your face. May the rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand.